Okay, welcome to today's Quest call, everyone. It's great to see you all. I've got 1 o'clock, so we can get started. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Amanda Nelson with the Office of Aging and Disability Services. Today, we're excited to be joined by our presenter and colleague from Brewer Rehab, and we're really excited to have all of you too. Today is the second call in our 2026 Quest series. For anyone who's new to the calls, Quest is a technical assistance arm of Maine's new value-based purchasing initiative for nursing homes. Quest stands for Quality, Excellence, Staffing, and Teamwork, and is designed to assist nursing home leaders on their quality improvement journeys. If you have questions or would like more information, you can email oads.nfquality@maine.gov. While 2025 focused on learning about topics like value-based purchasing, culture change, and CMS 5-star rating system from national leaders and change makers, 2026 is really centered around our own Maine leaders and how you've put thoughtful and positive change into practice. Each Quest call this year is focused on how local leaders have made an impact on their own nursing homes in areas like nursing staff turnover, rates of antipsychotic medication use, resident and family satisfaction, use of contract labor, and just overall strategies for leading your organizations through change. A couple of housekeeping notes if you haven't already done so. I encourage you to drop your name in the nursing home or organization you represent into the chat. We are offering certificates of attendance for licensed administrators attending this call upon request. Please only submit your request for a certificate if you're a licensed Maine administrator and you attended the entire call. As a recognized continuing education sponsor from the Maine Nursing Home Administrators Licensing Board, we do adhere closely to the board rule, and there's no partial credit certificates issued. Again, if you'd like a certificate for this call, please email oads.nfquality@maine.gov. Today's meeting is being recorded. The recording, as well as the slides, will be posted to our Rate Reform website. If you don't already have that, Chelsea will drop that into the chat shortly. The materials will also be posted to the SharePoint and distributed to Quest members via email. If you want to be added to that list, just send us an email at oads.nfquality@maine.gov. We will leave time at the end for discussion. So we'll have about 10 minutes at the end of today's call so that we can hear from you on some of the best practices that you're implementing in your nursing home communities and just get some reflections on anything that you hear today. So it's my pleasure to introduce today's Quest presenter, who will be sharing some tried and true strategies to decrease the use of temporary agency staff. Jessica Porter is a licensed social worker who's been serving in the field since 2000 after graduating from University of Maine at Farmington. She has worked in long-term care since 2010, bringing experience in both social work and admissions leadership. In 2017, she transitioned into an administrator in training role and has served as a nursing home administrator since 2018. Jess joined the National Healthcare Team in 2021, where she leads the team at Brewer Rehab. Jess?
All right, thanks so much for having me. I am going to be talking about agency reduction strategies that we've used here at Brewer. It has definitely been a marathon and not a sprint over the last 5 years that we've been working on reducing our agency, where we're consistently evaluating and re-evaluating how we've been doing things each week, sometimes daily, monthly, as we work on retaining our staff and reducing agency. So if you guys have any questions as I'm presenting, please don't hesitate to jump in at any point during my presentation. So here is my growing a stronger and more stable workforce. We reduced our agency from 95% when we started focusing on our staff. The first slide I have here is, to ask you guys, as in your community, what are you doing to increase your retention and your recruitment? And here are some of the things that we've been doing. Do you do this or do you do some other things like mentor programs, competitive rates, looking at that consistently, referral bonuses, department celebrations, sign-on bonuses, or anything else that you do to help retain and support your team that you have in your building?
We've got about 45 responses so far, up to about 60. We'll give it just another few seconds, so make sure to get those responses in. Interesting, some mix. And if there's anything that's not on the poll as an answer, feel free to just type it into the chat box if you're comfortable sharing any other strategies that you're using.
Because that's one of the biggest things is there are ideas that other buildings do that are so great. And why recreate the wheel when we can get some ideas from each other?
All right, it's slowing down. So here are the results.
Great. When I talk about the mentor program and some of this other stuff, I would love to hear how other people's program works. That might be a little bit different than how we do ours, because we're always looking to improve our program as well.
Take that down.
Moving forward. No, it's not. There we go. All right. So where we started in some of our challenges, we started when I entered this building in 2021 with about 95% agency staff and only 5% house staff. So that put our building at a pretty high risk for several things. Our star rating was at a 1. Our staffing remained high, but our survey results were a 1. So we had a lot of work to do. And being at 95% agency without committed house staff definitely put us at a lot of risk at that particular time. So we had no real induction or orientation for our new staff members when I started. There was no real foundation. Sometimes when we had call outs, the new orientees were just put right into onto the floor into numbers with a full assignment, which we found was failing miserably and causing people to leave us. We had no mentorship. Our house staff didn't know if people were going to stay. We didn't have any real way to ensure we could really bubble wrap them and have some extra support from their peers in order to help support them and give them that guidance. Our nursing leadership, there was a lot of managers that we had to turn over our nursing leadership. They were often having to work the floor. And our turnover with the high agency, it just was a culture that it was hard to make any gains. So our response to this, it was a bit of a 4-part strategy for us. We looked at our pipeline. We looked at, can we have referral bonuses? Will that work? We decided to have a very structured application on how we were going to do the application process and what we were going to look for. We looked at, did we need to look at our candidates and how to get our candidates into the building because our reputation wasn't that great. So how can we get people to give us a chance to come into the building? And onboarding. One of the first things that we really worked on was coming up with a solid orientation process because people coming into our building and sitting in an office with my HR manager for 2 hours to do paperwork and read a policy and sign it and move to the next policy and do a quiz and then watch some dementia videos. It was not engaging, and we were losing some people just with that because we weren't really welcoming them. So we worked really hard on our orientation and having our 8 hours of dementia be a part of that before they even touched the floor orientation. because we wanted to set the tone of who are the leaders in the building and what can you expect from us, and to know faces. Because the reality with orientation, you remember about 20% of what you learn, but our goal is to know who the faces are. So when you have a question or a concern, you know who my social services director is, you know who the dietary manager is, and they're a face that's going to smile at you when you come to them with a question. We want every one of our new starter people who are on our team to feel accepted and be excited to move forward with us. With part of that, we we came up with a theme for our new hires because we really wanted to bubble wrap our new orientees, our new staff members, at least for the first 90 days. So how can we do that? And our team came up with a theme, which is Groot, and our new hires would go from a seedling to a teenage Groot to an almost grown Groot to a grown Groot graduate. We'll talk a little bit about more of that in just a minute. And we worked with our staff that were here, and we had them do an application process to become mentors. And they had to tell us why they would be a good person to mentor, not just orient, but mentor our new hires, and came up with some expectations for them. And then we had a super user group. They were people from each department. We had floor staff, we had people from activities, we had leadership, and we all came together to come up with these themes and some expectations to help us move out of agency or away from agency, knowing that this was still going to be a long process. And we needed to work on stabilizing our floors. And part of it is protecting our new hires when they're orienting on the floor, is keeping them right in that one spot while they're orienting versus moving them throughout the house. And then we concentrated on what can we do to really organize, to recognize our team and get people excited that they work at Brewer Rehab. So we really kind of flooded the building with some personalized sweatshirts for Brewer Rehab. We wanted people to wear a representation when they come to work, that they work at Brewer Rehab, when they go into the community, that they work at Brewer Rehab, and they're proud to work here. So we did a lot of personalized sweatshirts and t-shirts for each department. Be proud you're a CNA, be proud you're a nurse, be proud that you're a part of activities, and dietary, because the whole building can't work together without each one of those departments. It takes a village to take care of our residents. We worked on quarterly celebrations where we recognized perfect attendance, anniversaries, who was a mentor, who was somebody who became a grown group graduate during that 90 days, who referred a friend to our building because they were getting recognized for referring somebody. And we had fake checks. We wanted to recognize, years of service, because I have people in this building who have stuck it out through the good times and the hard times and are still here with us and have a ton of knowledge, who have been here for 25 and 30 years. So we wanted to recognize their commitment to this building and this community. So part of our orientation, on that day 1 and 2, they're meeting all of the team members. They are touring the building and knowing where our offices are, where the bathrooms are, where the break room is. We're wanting them to know what our core values are. Our core values are around kindness, compassion, service, and excellence. And we talk about what that is, what that means to us as a company and as to a center. Our orientation really sets the tone of letting people know that we're here for them. And that's why we're taking the time out of our day to meet with them and spend some time with them so they know who we are as members of the leadership team. And because we're here to support them. It's not the other way around. They're here to take care of our residents, some of them doing the hands-on care or cooking meals. Their job is just as, if not more important than our job with the compliance behind the scenes. Um, we're talking about expectations and safety. We do that life safety tour. We talk about all the things that we do as a team to take care of our residents and keep them safe. And then day 3, we do the 8 hours of dementia and concentrate on, our resident-centered care. And how can we do that? How are some ways that we can support our residents with dementia or with our folks that we have here specifically who have acquired brain injury? We talk about that a little bit at the end of the dementia training because it is a little bit different how you manage those residents. And then we make sure that they know what floor they're going to based on what we learned about them during the orientation. And then that's going to be their home. When we first started this, they really stayed in that one spot for 90 full days while we had them bubble wrapped when we put them into the floor orientation. So they get their assignment, they go to their home, whether it's long-term care, our skilled unit, or the acquired brain injury, and that's their home for the next 90 days. We've shortened that a little bit, but not a whole lot, because we really want them to have a strong foundation before we expect them to go to another floor to cover a call out, because then they know that they're covering a call out. So somebody who's new, like they were, is able to get a foundation under them. And that's really where, and every morning, we still have done this since we started this program. We talk about every new hire that's in the building who's in their 90-day window, because I expect all of my members of leadership to check in on them to see how they're doing and give them a smile. How are things going? Do you have everything you need? Do you have any questions? So it doesn't matter if you're in nursing, dietary, transport. We want to know who, or housekeeping, we want to know who those new staff people are. So we, as a department head, as our leadership team, can support that individual. So our group program. So our team decided that our mascot was going to be Groot, because in that movie, there are very clear stages. He is a seedling, and then he turns into a teenager, and then he turns into an almost grown Groot, and then he's Groot. So that's what my team used as a symbolism for our new hires. So our 0 to 30 days is our seedling, and they would have a picture, and it was on a green background. So it would red background to say, I am brand new. I may not even know where the bathrooms are, even though I was shown, but I have forgotten. It was a visual not only for our staff, but also for our residents to give them a little bit of grace as they're learning. It allows them to settle onto the floor. They're in orientation. They're not by themselves. And they are assigned a mentor. And then once they've hit day 31, they go to a teenage Groot, where they've grown a little bit of, confidence in their skills. They may be off orientation and on their own. They may not be, depending on their experience. They're learning the team. They know where the supplies are. Our mentors are still checking in with them. It's gone from being weekly to now it's every other week that the mentors are checking on them to making sure that they're doing okay. And it's a peer. So they may say and smile to me that everything's great, but to their peer, they may say, I get frustrated because I can't find the extra briefs. And they will be like, oh, well, let me show you. But for me, if I ask, they say everything's great. So it gives them that peer support that is going to work with them for the entire year, well past this 90 days. And then from day 61 to 90, they turn into an almost grown Groot graduate. They get a new badge buddy, and that says, I still have a little bit more learning to do, but I'm almost there. And then when they hit day 91, we want to celebrate that recognition that they've made it through that first 90 days, because that was our biggest area of opportunity when we started this program, that we would lose most of our staff in that first 90 days. So we really concentrated on that first 90 days. And the staff loved their little badge buddies so much that they never wanted to give them up. And then they would turn into a grown group graduate on day 91. And our mentors were also identified by a different colored badge buddy. So we had 4 different colors, or 5 different colors. So we really bubble wrapped our new hires. We ensured that they were on one floor for their whole entire primary 90 days, no movements, no interruptions, because that was really a big struggle for many of our staff, being expected to move throughout the building. They had their mentor who was given to them on day 1, and that mentor really started their check-ins. We had our super user group that had all of our team members. We kept that meeting going. Our new hires, we are still discussing and started discussing back then. Who are they? Are they doing well? What is their position? Oh, it's Tessa, who's an RN on our long-term care unit. Or it's Sally, who is a new housekeeper who today is going to be over on our long-term care unit as well. So let's make sure we check on both of those team members when you go over there. And then it's recognizing each stage of going from 0 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, because those are big transitions in a new hire. And then when they graduate, we celebrated that at our quarterly events. And they were given little trophies at first. That was a group. And then we gave them t-shirts that said, "I'm a grown group graduate," which some of my folks still wear today. But one of the things that we discovered through our mentors is that our mentors were struggling because our CNAs are not trained on how to really supervise or support people. They might be a fantastic CNA and really good with orientation, but if they had a person who was struggling, they didn't really know what to do. So what we did was we formed with myself, the director of nursing, and my staff development coordinator. We took our mentors and we were each assigned a mentor. So our mentors were given a mentor. So if they have a staff person who's struggling, we would have them come to us, and they have to check in with us on a weekly basis on how our new staff are doing from their perspective, and then also talk to us about any struggles so we could give them some guidance on how to approach it from a peer to peer. And that really has made a difference for many of our mentors, to help support people who may be struggling, because they could potentially give them an insight that they're dealing with something in their personal life that they may need some support from HR. So how do we get them to encourage them over to HR? Or maybe their childcare has changed and they're afraid to talk about what schedule that they really need to change to. So we've been able to help with that. Or a resident doesn't like one of the new staff members. How do they get the resident to give them a second chance? Or to allow them to provide care when they're very set on certain staff members taking care of them. So we're able to help with that. And then one of the biggest things that we found is our staff are one of our biggest referral bodies. So refer your friend. If you're referring your friend and they're a CNA, a med tech, a licensed nurse, or if we hire them and we put them through our CNA program, once they've gotten their CNA, you get a referral. So after they come off orientation, they've hit 30 days from coming off orientation, you're given a referral bonus. And it's a $3,000 bonus, and it's paid out in 3 $1,000 increments. So they get a friend to work with that they know is going to provide good care and quality care to our residents, and they're thanked. And there's no cap on it. So if you refer 5 of your friends, then that's $15,000 into your pocket, because I'd rather pay them than pay agency. So we wanted to really focus too here at Brewer on building some pride within our building, being proud of where you work, and so we can have a great reputation in the community. The residents will be proud to be here. You'll be proud to say you work at Brewer Rehab. So we did make those personalized sweatshirts that I mentioned earlier. They're tangible, something that they could wear proudly. We worked on our quality recognition. Our PEP club became a vital part of our retention in the building, which was a separate group of people who were really driven to support some themes and activities for our staff. Um, it has leadership in it. We get input from our staff because it's hard for them to come to the meetings, but we want their input. Because this is hard work that we do on a daily basis. So the more fun we can have while we're at work, the better off it is. Like yesterday was superhero day. So we wanted people to come dressed in superhero costumes, and some did, even in the middle of an annual survey. So it lightened the mood in this building quite a bit. Um, we are constantly looking at wages in the community. We want to make sure that we're not below any other wages. At times we've been above market. And then as soon as we're above, others do their market wage. So it's always a little game in the community, but we're constantly looking at that to make sure that our wages are relevant to the community that we live in. We really recognize an employee of the month, and now we're calling it our core value leader of the month. It's who amongst our team really shows that they have compassion, that they're kind to our residents, that they understand the service that we provide, and they want to provide it with the most excellent ability that they possibly can. So we recognize them. It's from their peers, or residents and their family members that are putting in nominations. And they get a nice little parking space. Their picture gets put up. We post them on Facebook. And we want them to know that it's not just the members of leadership talking about who is one of our great CNAs or nurses or dietary aides or cooks or therapy members, but this is coming from the people that you work with every day. And then our Grown Group graduates are that program. So we did go through the Clint Mott program, which helped guide us through this process, and we've retained quite a bit of it over the years. Because like I said earlier, it really is not something that is done quickly. It's not a sprint. It has been a marathon to get where we are. Because I will be here at Brewer in August, it'll be 5 years. And it's taken 5 years to get us where we are today with our staffing. It's really having that structured retention, recruitment and retention framework, recruiting accountability and pipeline. Like we work now, we have a recruiter that is for the Bangor Brewer area. So he has been a big part of our sourcing and that first point of contact for our new staff. So that was one of the things that we saw we really needed, and we were able to accomplish that and hire that particular position. And then monitoring our retention matrix, because we want to know that what we're doing is working. We're continuing to focus on our full 0 to 90 days in our journey with our new staff. We're integrating our groups in their growth with the building. And why does this matter? Because when we fill a position, or somebody leaves a position, it causes gaps in on our team. We all know and feel that if we lose a member of our leadership, somebody has to pick up those positions. It's not stuff that, especially if it's regulatory, we can't ignore it. So we want to find the right person to replace somebody and not just hire somebody because they're a warm body and have a heartbeat. Because if we do that, then in 2 or 3 months or in 6 months, we're having to go through the whole process again. So taking our time, finding the right key players to make sure that they can come into the culture and really understand our core values of kindness, compassion, excellence, and service, and where we want to go as a team with Brewer. and talking about our accomplishments. Um, so what we found is our group program worked awesome for the first 90 days. But what we did find is that once we kind of didn't focus on those new staff so tightly on those first 90 days, um, between 91 and the first year, we started losing some staff. So we did have to reevaluate. This is definitely a program that we've had to continuously reevaluate and evaluate and reevaluate. So our mentor program, we've had to pull them together. We now have meetings on a monthly basis with our mentors to talk about expectations and how we can support them. What are some of their challenges that they're finding on the floor? Um, we added that extra layer of a mentor gets a mentor, because that was definitely a contributing factor that they felt a little lost. Um, and really looking at and recognizing the years of service milestones, because people get excited. Like, I've been here for a year. They want people to know that they've been here for a year. They want people to know that their anniversary, they just celebrated 3 years, because it is a big deal when you're not having to turn your members of your team around all the time. And then our PEP club, that club continues to be very strong in our building. We look at ways to celebrate every single department. It's not just Nursing Home Week. We celebrate our activities team. We celebrate our dietary team. We celebrate everybody. So our matrix. So our agency coverage, before we started at 95, we've been continuously reducing. And we're down to about 11% of agency use. It goes up a little bit and then goes back down. But we've been very consistent that the arrow just continues to go down. Our 3-day orientation process, once we started that, it has been a commitment by every member of our leadership, and we have not lost sight of that. It continues to be a priority for every single one of us. And it's great to get the feedback from new hires that I haven't had an induction like this for a while. Usually I sit in a room. So that makes us feel like this is a validation. They're really hearing of who we are and what they can expect from us. And we're able to say things like, if there's an issue, here are our cell phones. They are posted. Call us. Just because we're not here doesn't mean we're not supports to you. Knowing who the mentors are, right from the beginning. The referral incentive program that continues to this day. That still is one of our staff are still referring their friends. So now it's actually gone down a little bit. We have 7 full-time. We had about 85 open positions in the nursing floor when I started, and we're down to 7. And we have some other people that are in the pipeline, so that's gone down to 4. And our nursing turnover, which was 120% when I started, because basically people would be here. We had some people that lasted 2 hours on the floor, and an agency person would run them off. We ended up going down to 49%, which is below much of the industry average right now. And we've saved a bunch of money in regards to our agency use. When I first started, our agency use expenditure was over $150,000 for housing a month, and over $120,000 for the cost of the agency staff. So as you can imagine, we were never hitting budget. Now we're actually hitting our budget, and able to, when the staff needs something, we're able to get what they need, without our company having to support us. So the direct care staff turnover, it just continuously has been going down, which is fantastic. We've been able to convert the agency staff that we want because they've seen their hours dissipate. We had a staff person who literally has been here for 9 years as a staff person on and off. She finally signed off on as house staff last week, and that was a huge celebration. We were like, yay! So every time I see her, I'm like, there's my new team member. So it's those things that the staff love. Some other things that we've done is we started staff meetings, and it's not just at one time that we expect everybody to come into us. When we started it, we made a commitment that we would be here for them. We would start it at 2 o'clock, and we'd be here and stay in our building and do staff meetings with a night shift. So we're here until midnight, 1 o'clock, once a month with our staff and doing our staff meetings. So our night shift, if you work the night before, you can come in at 10 o'clock if you want, or at 11 o'clock when we do that staff meeting on the other floor. And those ones, we go to the units and we hang out with them. We also meet with our staff in the evening. How are things going? Do you have everything you need? What do you need from us? And then, oh, by the way, tell me something fun about you that I may not know. So we found some fun things out about our staff, that for many of our staff, their pets are everything to them. I have one staff member that has a hairless guinea pig who wears sweaters, and that's what we talk about. I love this picture of her hairless guinea pig that wears sweaters, and I ask her every time I see her how her hairless guinea pig is. That's the fun stuff that staff like to know. We also find some things out that we don't know about them, like their passion outside of work is writing. And it gives us something besides just work to talk with them about, which also has contributed to the turnover, because each month we can bring back to them what they had for questions or needs. And we've been able to make some real changes in the building based on what they have given us. Like they didn't like our gloves. So we got a different kind of glove for them to trial. They liked those much better. We were able to transition to those gloves, and now nobody complains about our gloves, which is great. They feel heard. Some of the things that we do, which we've kind of talked about, is our measures. How do we know that we were successful? We're looking at our agency coverage. It decreased substantially. Our monthly turnover rate has gone down. Some months my turnover rate is 11%. Our full-time positions, our vacancies are down to, it was 7 when I put this together. And once people come and they're off orientation, it'll be 4. So each week we're seeing some progress. Each month we're seeing progress. And with our mentors, the one thing I think I skipped over is our mentors are also, because they're committing to our new staff members for an entire month, they also are rewarded. They're given a $3,000 stipend per person that they work with. Once they get them through the first 30 days, they're given a stipend. Once they get them past that 90 days of after orientation, they're given a stipend of $1,000. And then once that new staff person hits a year, they're given their final stipend of $1,000. So they get $3,000 to help retain that staff member by being their mentor, making sure that they have what they need, making sure that they get the support that they need from us, and being an advocate for their whole floor and their team if there's something out there that they're seeing as a trend. So our 6-month timeline, we're always looking at where are we, or where have we come from. So we really looked at our baseline, our agency use, our absences, because that was also a big component, and our vacancies. We do staff surveys. That happens every single year, and that gives us some pretty vital feedback as well. That gives us some actual tangible things to work on. Like for our team here, it was trust. They didn't necessarily completely trust us. And why didn't they trust us? It was from a lack of communication. And that's why we started our staff meetings. So we were available to them every single month. We set aside things that we had to do so we could meet with them, talk with them in the evening, talk with them during the day, and bring back to them what they needed us to work on. We established the referral bonus program. We launched the group program, and we wanted to make sure that our SmartLinks, which is our staffing, where we put in their schedules was accurate. So we really worked on making sure master schedules were in there correctly, so we knew what we were actually hiring for. Month two, we really worked on our first group graduates as they approached their 30 days, or 30-day mark before they went to 31. And we did a lot of coaching and a lot of pep club work of starting celebrations and really focusing on that, because staff engagement is huge. Making work as fun as possible, even though it's silly, but National Donut Day, they love. Getting a donut with a little fun saying on it, that makes their day. If it is national, like yesterday, superhero day, they want to wear superhero stuff. May the 4th be with you is coming up. So it's going to be Star Wars Day here. We want people to dress up. And then Cinco de Mayo is going to be make your own salsa. So the Pep Club is going to be chopping up a lot of vegetables and fruit so people can come in, talk with us, and make some salsa that they can take home and share with their family or eat here. It's all those little engagements that make work fun. So we're constantly looking at what's something national going on. National Pet Day. We did a pet contest. We had people bring in pets and post them all through the lobby. And then the residents and families and staff members all voted on who they thought had the cutest pet. And then they got a gift card. That was one of the most engaging activities that cost us really nothing. And we had some people who had cows as pets and a sloth. I didn't even know you could have a sloth. And very exotic pets. One person had a monkey. Again, I didn't know you could have a monkey in Maine, but they did. So we're constantly looking and giving ourselves some guidelines, and making sure that we're sticking to it. Because if you don't have, I have to do this by this date, let's be honest, our world is so busy and so chaotic at times, that we lose sight. So if we don't have that on the calendar, it's not going to happen. So it really takes all of us, myself, my director of nursing, my other department heads, even our regional partners, because there are times that I need to include them and be like, hey, I want to spend extra money on this. I'm having a problem with attendance. I'm going to do an attendance contest. And if you don't call out for the month of July because everybody wants to go have a beach day, then you're going to get a chance to win a kayak. So I have a lot of support from our regional partners to be able to do stuff like that because our residents need our care. And good for you for showing up, and you're going to get a little extra potential for doing that. So we continue to look at our risks. Is everything that we're doing meaningful? Is it showing that it's really working? Is there anything that we can do to mitigate any risks or to improve things? And that's why we've started concentrating more on 91 to 100 to the first year, because that has become our biggest gap. We're really good with the first 90 days. We don't lose people in the first 90 days. So we're really working on how do we keep people engaged and in our radar for that 91 to a year right now. That is our biggest thing. So now our agency tends to be on average under 10%. People are more proud to say they work at Brewer. During orientation, I talk about where we've come from, to where we're going, and where we still have, it was hard to even see the pathway when I got here, but now we've been on the trail for quite a while and we're up over that mountain, and coming down. And we've done that as a team because this didn't happen with one person. It didn't happen with two people. It took the entire leadership team and then our floor team to all make this work. From our mentors to our people who help with orientation, to absolutely every person in this building. So having pride and being proud to say that you work at Brewer. I don't have an orientation people saying, "Oh, they said you're going to Brewer." They were like, "Oh," people were like, "Oh, you're going to Brewer?" Like, yeah. That's right. You're coming to Brewer. You're going to be a part of our team. Um, so, and our quality of care, we've been able to go from a 1 star overall, and we all know our star ratings are kind of like your credit score. If your credit score tanks, it takes you 5 to 7 years to really get your credit back where it needs to be, so somebody will give you a loan. It's the same thing with our star rating, right? If our star ratings are at a 1, it takes us 5 to 7 years to really get our star rating where we want it to be. So we've been able to get our star rating from a 1 overall to a 3 overall, and our survey rating from a 1 star to a 3 star overall. And it's from having that consistency of staff who actually care about our outcomes and our quality measures, and teaching them about what a survey means, teaching them about what our quality measures are. Because if they don't know what they're working towards, they can't help move the needle. So we do a lot of that. Every single one of our monthly meetings is, what does this mean? What do we need to work on? And why do we need to work on it? That's the biggest thing. You can't just tell people to work on something. They need to know why they need to work on it. So our consistency with those staff meetings to be able to talk about that has helped. So I've been proud to see our needle move from a 1 star overall to a 3 star overall, and our survey from a 1 star to a 3 star. And for our survey members to recognize the difference in this building, including feeling the atmosphere. You could cut the atmosphere with a knife 5 years ago. Now people are laughing and smiling, and residents are engaging with staff, and staff are engaging with residents, which is what we all want to see. Um, so this is just kind of another summary of what we've been doing, that I've been talking about to you guys for the last 45 minutes. So hopefully you've kind of seen what we've done to move our needle with reducing agency. But I'd love to hear from you guys, like really what you've done, or questions on what we've done to try to move our needle, because every seedling um, really deserves a chance to grow. And it was really sad, to see a lot of people, as we used to say, eating our young. We're not allowed to do that here. Um, they need a chance to grow. And if we have to separate from somebody because they weren't successful, we need to know as a member of leadership that we've done absolutely everything that we can to support that individual to be successful here, um, because it's our job. And we want to see them succeed and grow with our building. And we want to see those unit assistants turn into CNAs, and the CNAs to turn into med techs, and the med techs want to go to nursing school and become an LPN or an RN, and then the RNs become a unit manager, and a unit manager to a assistant director of nursing, and an assistant director of nursing to a director of nursing, because we've been able to see that in our building with our growth, because we've been fostering them. So now I'm just going to shut up. And if you guys have any questions or input, I would love to hear it, because it is something that we've put a lot of energy and passion and time in at this building.
That was incredible, Jess. You have a lot of kudos in the chat, but I
Oh,
didn't see very many questions. I will just highlight a comment from Sandy River on, complimenting some of the fun things that you do. They recently did a farm day where they brought baby goats and lambs and rabbits and oxen and a mini horse. So that's
yeah.
fun. Who has some questions for Jess? I'll go first. I'll break the ice.
Okay.
Um, so I'm curious about, you say you recognize your new people as they go through the group stages. So like at the 30-day, 60-day, 90-day. I'm curious about how you recognize them. And is there like a one size fits all recognition? Is it like a staff meeting, or do you
So we
tailor
will
it to each person?
it's not that huge of a celebration. It's kind of small. It's for each person. We just kind of do it with them. We do it through an exchange of a badge buddy. So their badge buddies are visual. it actually has a seedling. It says I'm 0 to 30 days. I'm brand new. Please be patient with me. And it is red. It's that like, please, I may not be able to tell you where anything is because I don't even know where everything is myself. And then day 31 to 60, they get a new one, and it's a yellow badge buddy with a teenage group sitting on it that says, I have a little bit of footing, but I'm still learning. And then day 61 to 90, it's a red badge, or it's a green badge saying that I'm almost there. I'm maybe off orientation, but I'm still a little new. So still give me a little bit of grace. And then once they get a blue one, then that's a big significant that, hey, I am a full-grown graduate. I know where all the supplies are. I know my residents. I know their routines. And I'm now grown up enough that if somebody calls out, I will move floors, and the person with a red, yellow, or green badge, they're going to stay on the floor versus me. So it helps everybody be a little bit more visual with each other, as well as the residents. It helps the residents as well.
I love that, Jess. It's creative. But also I think that sometimes as leaders, we assume that everybody likes that big pomp and circumstance. And some people cringe at the thought of having to walk up and receive their 90-day pin or whatever, that some people that just doesn't jive well with. But that's still a really good visual that that kind of marks them in the community. We did have a question in the chat. So how did you get support from senior leadership? Because it sounds like things, these things cost money to implement. So how did you get past the we can't afford these things, even though we're going to pay this money anyway towards travelers or agency staff?
So that is how we had that discussion. If we don't start investing in our own staff, we're going to be just paying it out to people who have no investment in us. So we started talking about what do we need, and we identified it. And as long as we've been making and since then we've been making obviously a reduction in agency cost, instead of spending over $1 million in a year in agency, it's gone to our staff. And now we're positive as a building. So yes, it cost a lot in the beginning, but the end payout, knowing that it was not going to be a sprint, that we'd see agency go from 95% to 5% in 2 months. It was going to take us years potentially to get us where we need to go, because you can't do it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be sustainable. So we just kind of looked at, let's get on the path and let's stay true to the path. And they supported us with that because they knew their ultimate vision was for us to not have agency as well. And I'm not asking for the world. I'm not asking to spend $100,000 in a month. And frankly, we made our t-shirts with our crickets. So I have people at Pep Club that will print out vinyl, and at Pep Club, we're talking about what we're going to do for activities, and we're weeding our stuff for t-shirts that get just pressed really quickly. So people are willing to put in some time to support our vision. And it is hard because we're all so super busy with everything that is on our plates. But if we don't concentrate on our team, we can't get anywhere.
You can't afford not to spend the time. Yeah.
Correct. So
I would just say too, for folks that are being met with that kind of opposition or getting, kind of stonewalled, I think that a proposal with
yep.
forecaster numbers goes a long way. If you can actually do the math and start figuring out how much you could project to save each year, and when you're going to get that return on investment. And I know that's a lot of work too, but sometimes that can sway the hearts and minds too.
And being realistic with what you can do.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
we were not realistic that we were going to be out of agency. But, one of the first things I took away, I'm not paying for, within the first year of me being here, I'm not paying for a hotel for an agency person.
It's huge.
If you're going to come here and help us out, I will rent an apartment for you. And at first I got a little kickback and I said, then they're not the ones to come help us because I have to make my own bed. I have to clean my own house. They can do that as well.
Right.
Um, and with our engagement of when we do like Nurses Week, um, we really focus on our house staff. And that was a little bit of an opposition my first year or two here because we had so many agency. Yes, we did something nice for them, but they did not get what my house staff got. My house staff got t-shirts and gifts. They got, maybe one of our mugs with some candy in it. Thank you for being part of helping us out, but you're not our house staff. Our house staff get this because they're committed to us, committed to our residents, and committed to our vision. So it was important to make that distinction. And at first, that was a little bit hard.
Yeah. Treat them well so that they'll want to come. They'll want
Correct.
to come on board. Yeah.
Correct.
Maureen Carland, I saw that your hand was up. Is Mo still here? Do you have a question? Might have lost Mo.
No, I'm on my phone and I couldn't
Oh,
figure out how to get my unmute. Sorry. Jess, this is incredible. This just sounds so fabulous. So exciting. I have one really stupid question. Who is Groot?
So I get that question a lot. So he is one of a superhero character. And in the first Guardian of the Galaxy, he gets blown up. I had to watch the movie after my staff chose this. And then he's a seedling. And then he turns into a teenage Groot. And then he turns into and then he turns into like an adult Groot. But we kind of played on that to have the almost grown Groot graduate. We got made fun of a lot by this, but it was very catchy. And memorable. So my office has Groot all through it. So yeah, it's been a fun little play.
I'm going to have to watch that movie this weekend then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. It's the number 2 that you actually see more of the seedling to the teenage to the.
Awesome.
He has his own wiki page, Mo, so he's legit.
Oh my gosh. All right.
He's a little tree. He regenerates.
I love that theme. What a great theme. Oh my gosh.
And my team came up with it. So it was good. So yeah.
All right. Well, I want to make sure that you all get out of here on time. That was a really fantastic presentation, Jess. Kudos. It was beautiful, but also just packed with great information and great strategies that I think, to somebody's point, like some of these are expensive, but not all of them, right? Some of them are just pick what you're going to do and be consistent and make sure that all of your team is rowing in the same direction and doing the same thing. And that's, as we know, not always easy, but definitely critical. So I want to thank you all for coming today, and special thanks to Jess and the Brewer team for presenting. Today's presentation was tremendously helpful, and I hope all of our Quest members found something valuable to take away that maybe you can implement in your own communities. If there are some accomplishments in your own nursing home community that you'd be willing to share with the Quest partnership, we would love to hear from you. We still have 1 or 2 presenter spots available towards the end of the year, so you'd have plenty of time to prepare. But sharing your story is a great way to highlight your team's hard work and success, while also helping everybody else to do better. And you don't have to be perfect to be a presenter. So I'll just throw that out there. You'll notice a QR code on your screen Chelsea's going to put up. If you could complete this brief survey, we'd love to hear from you just to gauge the quality of today's call and also what else you'd like to see from Quest. If you prefer a link, we'll drop that into the chat momentarily also. As I mentioned, today's recording and slides will be posted on the Rate Reform website and also to the SharePoint site by early next week. And as always, we will email the materials to everyone as well. If you need a new invitation to the SharePoint, just send us a message at odes.nifquality@maine.gov. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks as always for joining. We'll leave that QR code up just for another minute. But if you've already completed that survey, you're welcome to go on, and happy Wednesday to you all. We'll see you all in June.